Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of How to Program in Java. Um, I'm sorry, today we're going to be doing strings and showing you how to, different functions. And this is going to be where we start to learn types and variables and all that stuff. And if you're wondering what that is, if you looked in the last video how I was putting static and then int and all that stuff, those are types. I'm building out variables for numbers and stuff. And it sounds complex, but it's not. So for this video, we're going to go into strings. So strings, if you don't think that if you don't think you haven't already done it, because if you're typing out all the stuff that we're doing in the video and doing it yourself, you would have thought that, okay, well, I don't even know what a string is, but actually, if you look right here, you've already done it. It's just being put in a local area. So how do we do it across our program? And there's two things you can store a string in. You have your class here. Remember, I talked about scope. Um, when we have this bracket next to our class, this denotes that whatever is here is accessible to the entire program. So within the class, I'm sorry, because there's other classes and then you can't access them, but we'll go into public and private and all that stuff. But you see how we have a bracket here and then it closes here? This bracket denotes that it can see up to here, this bracket right here where the cursor was. And this denotes that it can see all of this, but it can't see what's in here unless called upon. So I know it doesn't make sense. It'll make a lot of sense later. But let's get into strings. And this is going to be kind of your first exposure to variables and all that in public. Again, there's two ways to write this. So let's write it static, and we'll explain that later. Static string. And let's say the string is called name and it equals Billy. And I'm sorry. And once we do that, we can call name across our program because it's within scope. We can call it across our class here. But inversely, if we get rid of this, what if we go in our void here, which is not accessible to everything in the net, but is accessible within itself, and we called static string name equals Billy. So what happens here? Well, it does the same thing, and I'm sorry, we got to get rid of static. It does the same thing. It created string name, but I can't call name out here. I can't call name out here to any other voids. I can only call it within it, which means I can create multiple strings called named within other parts. But I'm just trying to explain to you this. That's why I'm saying there's a very important thing called scope. These brackets. That's going to be your best friend, your worst enemy here, because that's what pisses people off when they're programming. And when you don't understand what you're doing with these brackets, you're going to find that, oh, I just worked an hour on something that I can't even access because I put it in the wrong area. So that's why we do it like that. So again, you got to be careful where you put it. So if I put it right here, static string name equals Billy, well, guess what? Now I can access this name across this whole program, and I showed you earlier just now. If I put it within here, I could only access it here. So let's just leave it right here in our class. And let's call Billy here. So let's call name. So how do we do that? You saw it in the last video where I put in print line. Again, Billy is a string, so I can put name. And if I do name, it will say name. It says Billy right here. And I can change this anytime. So I'm sorry. So I'm going to teach you um, several things you can do with strings. Um, sorry, I'm at a very big loss of words. So there's a couple things you can do here. Again, you can concatenate it. I think we understand that now. So I'm not going to go over it, but there's a couple functions you can do. So this one is dot to lowercase here, and you're probably like, well, why would we want to take capital B and lowercase I-O-L-Y for Billy? And why would we want to put that in lowercase? Well, let's say we're making a program that doesn't understand uppercase letters, right? Because we're too lazy to program that. Why go through the trouble of processing every word, whether it's a capital or a lowercase, if we can just change it all to lowercase? So this is something you're going to want to use uh, very often. Probably dot to lowercase is also uppercase. Is also uppercase, and it changes Billy to uppercase, all the words. So that's something you're probably going to use a lot. Another thing with strings is comparison. So you're not going to understand what I'm typing here, but you're going to remember this later on, and it's called string contains, and basically within dot contains we can put whatever we want. So if I put Billy, and you're not going to understand this, that's okay. We'll get over that. This is completely just thrown at you right now. But if name contains Billy, then it'll say I'm sorry. Say hi Billy, and then if it's not in there, and again, you're not going to know what any of this is. That's okay. Just let me show you what it is. It's not rocket science. And okay. But we'll get into a lot of this stuff I just typed in right now, and you're not going to understand it. It's okay. So let's just go over. We've created our string name called Billy, and then we're checking, and I'm showing you that the string dot contains method lets you pass in whatever you want. And as you can see here, look, we have Billy. So what do you think is going to happen if we say that if it contains Billy, we run that? It'll say hi Billy. But what happens if the name is not Billy? It's Joey. So what's going to happen? It's going to say you're not Billy. So that, I know you're not going to understand what this if and else and all that, but I'm just going to show you that that's a part of strings. It's dot contains. It compares something that you put in the parentheses with something that it actually is, and if it is correct, then it'll run whatever you tell it to, and if it's not, it'll run also if you tell it to run something. You're not going to understand that just yet, but just maybe type this out and try it yourself, and later on it'll be a lot easier when we explain that kind of context. So, and this is another reason why I said dot to lowercase is going to be really something that you want to use, because what if we did name dot to lowercase dot contains Billy, right? And we put that in lowercase. Even though this is in uppercase, this uppercase B, when we run it, it's going to still say that it's Billy because we just set name to lowercase, and if that name in lowercase contains this, then it's correct. And we can change this however we want as long as the characters are right. And that's why I was showing you to lowercase and to uppercase, because depending on what you want to use for your program, it can make comparisons and stuff a lot easier, and you don't have to you don't have to do a lot of work trying to figure out something that is not even, it shouldn't even be a problem. So static string name equals. So that's how you create a string. And it's basic. That's pretty much it. So there's another thing you can do with strings that you're gonna find useful, and it's called substring. And substring is basically, it takes all the words in the string and puts it into like an array, and then it looks in the index that you give it. And I know you don't even know what I said, but just think of, here, I'm going to type it out here. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say I'm putting the name Abigail. So I'm going to need a couple more. All right, you're not going to get this. So let's say that the string Abigail is really 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and within these pockets we're putting each of the letters separately. So when we run substring, we can think of each letter as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on. And we can tell it, well, what if we want to check if 2, 3, and 4 have the character IGA, and if it does, then we run it, because here we said Abigail is an IGA at 2, 3, and 4. So that's an array pretty much of what I'm trying to say. So the best way to figure out what the heck this means is let's just put something long here in name. Let's just put, I don't know. Let's put a first name, Joey or Joy, and let's put an underscore. Let's just get a first name. That's what we want. So Joy Behar. Wow, there you go, Joy Behar. That's all I could do. So we want to get a first name. So how do we do that? So we could do system.out print line, and then we can take name dot substring, and now we pass in the beginning index. So again, let's look here. J, we have the first letter, that's 0. O is the second letter, it's 1. Y is the third letter, it's 2. We have a space that counts as a character, so that's 3. And, oh, there we go. So we have our index of what we want to chop out, and then we want to end. So there's two ways you can do it. You could do substring and then where you want to start from. Or you could do substring where you want to start from and where you want to end. In this case, we're just going to do where we want to start from. So what this is going to do, if hopefully it's right, it should just say Behar and not Joy. See, it said Behar, but hold on. I counted wrong. You're supposed to count a different way. So actually we need to put 4 as our strip index. And look what we have here. We have Behar. So we went from Joy Behar, which is the name of the string, and then we processed it with substring and we gave it an index of 4, and now our Joy Behar has become Behar. So that's how you do, and you probably don't know what that's useful for, but that's just now it's going to be something useful. So let's do another thing, and this just, if you practice and type out everything I'm doing in your ID, and it'll make much more sense than just watching me type stuff and talk my head off here. Oh my gosh. See, now I just put index 1, index 6, and now what do we have? We have OY space BE. So we took Joy Behar and we turned it into OY space BE. So if we just want to get the first name, so let's do 0 through 3. And now we have Joy. So that's the first name, which is, and I'm going to show you. So remember we were talking about concatenation. This is where we can do something with it. So I'm going to do first name, a string, add it to name.substring, and you can see why this kind of stuff is going to be really useful when you're ready to use it. First name, last name, and then I'm going to just put name substring 4, and then I'm not going to count anywhere after that. So what are we going to get? We're going to get first name Joy, last name Behar, and if I put a space here, it'll look nice. So let's put that. So what did we just make? So we just made a program with a string already defined with Joy Behar, and then we made a print line that says first name, and then it gets name substring, an index of 03, which gives us Joy, and then a last name with an index of 4 onward, which gave us Behar. So you see, now it says first name Joy and then last name Behar. So that's another thing that you could do. Now the final thing I want to show you before we end this video, hopefully you understand everything. I hope I didn't, I'm speaking properly, is that you can take a number, and you're not going to know what this is just for now, but this is going to be useful for later. You can take a number and convert it into a string. So how do we do that? So we can take static string number, well, let's call the number is a number, and then we have, I don't know, static string number string plus, and then we can put in number dot to string. Let me close that up. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the correct way. I'm sorry. I just... Huh. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I'm not going to be perfect at this. This is quite embarrassing. Huh. Well, just forget what I tried to do. Just forget about it. We'll look into that later. I don't know why. I'm thinking of the wrong thing here. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. It was quite embarrassing, actually. I didn't even know what I was doing. But just keep, practicing and typing all the stuff, and it doesn't, some of the stuff doesn't make sense. We're going to get into it later. But anyway, thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.